Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Leadnap Gaming. We're talking Olisar. Again. Port Olisar. Is it going away? For the too long didn't read crowd, yes and no, but yes, though no. Last week, I released a farewell video to Port Olisar with the intention to celebrate and have a lasting record of the place many of us first saw the verse. As I explained in the description, Port Olisar is home to many a memory for me, a place I met so many of my closest online friends. This video released into a quagmire of quandary, as CIG in typical CIG fashion has not cleared the waters they muddied over the fate of Port Olisar. Port Olisar is not going away, but it is. Crystal? Every planet capital city has an orbital port above it. This is in part because the largest cargo ships need to feed, clothe, and provide supplies to these cities and planets, and they can't land in atmosphere, amongst a variety of other reasons. We routinely see these: Port Tressler, Everest Harbor, Port Olisar, Bikini Point. That's why Port Olisar isn't going anywhere. There will always be a Port Olisar orbiting Orison on Crusader. Anyone who has been in the verse a few years has repeatedly heard, "We're removing Port Olisar next patch," from CIG. This is the second time I've said farewell in a video, though last time it was just a salute at the end of a different topic. CIG has talked about potentially doing an NPC event that would involve an attack on Olisar, destroying it, and this prompting the placement of a new station, potentially with a new name that would then honor the memory of the original destroyed station. As any who have served on a warship that went to scrap know, such an event would send the old girl off with some dignity. A warrior's death, rather than the slow torch of the scrap gang. While CIG could still run with this option, the more likely scenario at this point is simply an asset replacement. To which the devs have recently come out assuring us Olisar isn't going anywhere. They're just changing it. This is where the most vitriol in the community seems to stem. Part of the player base accusing the other parts of believing or sensationalizing lies. One part of the community still holds beloved Olisar is going away, while the other part shouts it isn't going anywhere. And both sides are pointing to statements from CIG to prove their point. To explain this, I'm going to use a different example, one most of you are likely not to hold so close to your heart. My beloved F-16. To some, this is the embodiment of Colonel Boyd's vision, an all-weather interceptor that would race into the sky and smash Soviet jets. Light, fast, cheap. No frills, nothing extra. Sound familiar? To those purists, this is an absolute abomination, quite literally the opposite of the entire point of the F-16. To others, however, these are both the F-16. Who cares? Needed more gas, they gave it CFTs. Upgrade the avionics and it makes for a great ground pounder too. What's the harm? It's still a top-notch light all-weather interceptor. It's the same with Port Olisar. On the one side are players who don't harbor some sort of attachment towards the specific assets. You could just make PO another R&R. What's the difference? You still have the orbital port over Crusader, and that's what matters, right? To others, Port Olisar is a collection of specific and unique assets that make the place. Changing those is taking the place away. Which is where my farewell comes in. There's a lot of art and concept ideas in Port Olisar that point at ideas and thinking from years ago, from an earlier time in the verse. It's the only place with vitamin D rooms, so those in space get enough of the stuff that we video gamers probably aren't getting enough of anyways. In so many ways, Port Olisar embodies the societal shift of our own Western culture. Port Olisar's otherwise drab gray walls were given a facade to decorate them and break up the monotony. The new R&Rs cover these assets instead with ads, because advertising revenue is revenue. Don't get me wrong, the thought and consideration in the new R&Rs is a very important setting piece for immersing ourselves in the local culture of the verse, the vision of the future its writers hold for it. I'm not criticizing the new assets over the old, simply pointing out that the old speak to a different verse. They're different, and are likely to go away, leading to the feeling for many that once was, is gone. Putting hangars and elevators on Port Olisar is like putting CFTs on an F-16. For some people, it's a crime against nature. To others, what's the big deal? Hangars are not the reason for change though. Port Olisar's old assets. When I mentioned old polygons in last week's video, it was intentional. To their credit, CIG has done magnificent work optimizing the verse. And truth be told, there's an object limit developers must pay attention to in order to ensure the largest possible pool of players can access the game in a playable manner. This is one of the reasons Levski was pulled. The assets for the station were bogging down server resources. Levski's removal is somewhat different though. Levski was never a part of the Stanton system, and was put in for players to have a place to go, for added criminality reasons, and so on as a placeholder. Levski will also return when Nix is added, but you can rest assured that it won't be the same place we all stood selling space drugs. The assets there too will be updated. I love Port Olisar. It holds a special place in my memory, but I will also be the first person to tell you it needs updating. While I would hope that the pads and struts would remain, today's Port Olisar stands as a roadblock to improved performance, better gameplay, and the real needs ships will have when trying to play around Crusader. Port Olisar needs updating to have ship docking, as well as modularity for ship repair and other such things that may come in the future. Why wouldn't we want more food and entertainment options there? It's one of the few places you can have open pads large enough to spawn your ship, but can't, because the ones on your strut are occupied. Olisar's changes have nothing to do with pad ramming, but CIG prefers hangars because they hide the spawn and despawn of ships, adding an immersive feeling that the ships were always there, just like players emerging from private rooms in the halves. To their credit, ships and players suddenly appearing before you wrecks the realism of the game. The best movie directors hide the wires. CIG is just doing the same. Change isn't always bad. I cherished my time in my camp in Afghanistan, but I have no desire to go back and was very happy to leave. There's nothing wrong saying goodbye to the way something is currently. Port Olisar badly needs updating, just like the Connies. One of Stanton's jewels of a city deserves a jewel of an orbital port, and in our love of Port Olisar, we should demand no less. No matter how you cut it though, the Port Olisar we know and walk today is going away. For some, this is as important as the all orange and yellow R&R assets getting swapped out. For others, it has a little more meaning. It's always important to remember we all see things differently, and while we're all unified in the project of Star Citizen, the project means different things to all of us. Respect one another, and if you have to be mean, there's people who think pineapple is a pizza topping. So make sure to share this, and a slice of pizza with your friends. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't. Let me know some of your favorite memories at Olisar in the comments, and I'll catch you all next time.